One word, tracing. One definition, seeing application health, end-to-end application health. And what does this mean? Seeing how events take place between, in this case, pods, okay? So seeing how the application health is going to look between pod A and pod B, seeing how everything kind of communicates as a whole. This is what we're thinking about when we're thinking about traces. I don't want to know CPU spikes and memory spikes or this thing's down or that thing's down. Yeah, we need to know that stuff, but what we also need to know is, how is this thing performing? For example, I've seen many times, and I'm sure all of y'all have as well, an application can be up and running, looks great, but it's performing at 50%. It's not performing good at all. So I'm always kind of looking at tracing solutions when it comes to Kubernetes, and there are definitely a few out there. One that I saw at KubeCon, and this is going to be recorded and pushed out after KubeCon, but KubeCon NA 2023 was Lumigo. So what I want to do is I want to kind of set up for the first time. This is actually the first time I'm going through the setup, so I haven't even done this yet, on how to get this thing up and running. So just for some context here, I am running an EKS cluster 3 node on version 1.26. I should probably update this here. Yeah, definitely got to push up to 127 or 128. All right. So before we dive in, just want to showcase a couple of things here. Number one, they have a totally free pricing model for 150,000 traces. Not bad. Even at the plus, $299 a month. And that's for unlimited users. So like if you have a team of 5 or 10, it'll work with that $300 per month. So the price point actually isn't that bad. I can't hate on it. And you can connect the environment in a few different ways. We're going to see how to do that through the UI. Another thing that I wanted to kind of show here as well that I thought was really cool was try in the sandbox. So there's actually a legit sandbox environment that you can use to see, for example, some Kubernetes workloads. You can also see, this is one of the things that I definitely want to dive into, is the system map here. So this is going to take a couple of seconds to load because there's actually a lot of stuff going on here. I was just looking at this before. So for example, if I look at this right here, right, we can see the connections that this service is going to. So for example, cluster/wild rides is hitting the API for Chuck Norris jokes, all right? But the really cool thing about this here, and again, why I really like this system map, is because I can see what's talking to what from a service perspective or from an API perspective, which is really, really cool. And then you can even break it down into things like number of errors. Let's go ahead and give this a shot. I'm gonna click get started. I'm going to continue with Google, choose an account. All right, and I think that was actually about it. Yeah, that was ridiculously easy. Okay, so what I want to do here is I want to choose Kubernetes. Helm, beautiful. All right, gives me the code that I need. Awesome. This is going to ask me for particular credentials. Create a Lumigo custom resource in the same namespace, referencing the okay. Yeah, so it wants us to create the secret for the authentication. All right. So let's go to VS Code here. I think the only thing that I need to change is my cluster name. So what is my cluster name? I think it is KS Quick Start Cluster. All right, cool. It actually even gives us the next steps here, which is awesome. I love when organizations put the actual description of what you need in the Helm chart. It makes things so much easier. All right, so the next thing, we're gonna create a secret with your Lumigo token in the namespace you wish to trace. Okay, interesting. So actually, before we do this, what I'm gonna do is, this thing's still going, so I'm gonna actually CD into AWS EKS and CD into microservice demo. So I'm using that Sock Shop demo app. You can literally Google it and just pull down the repo. I think it's from Weave. It's a really good microservice demo, actually. There's a bunch of different pods and services and stuff that are running, so it's really good to get a visual if you don't have just like a demo app that you want to already use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cd into Kubernetes. I'm going to run kubectl apply -f complete demo. All right, so this is going to create a sock shop namespace for me. So that's the one that I'm going to want to use. kubectl get ns. Yep, we have that sock shop. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to specify. Okay, so this is one thing to point out here. It looks like, at least at the time of recording this, we can trace everything in Kubernetes, but I guess we need to create the connection per namespace, it looks like. All right. Okay, so that was created. Now create a Lumigo custom resource in the same namespace referencing the secret you created. Okay, so let me go ahead and copy this. Open up a text file here. Right, namespace, sock shop. Right, looks like there's nothing else I got to change there. Let's go ahead and run that. Okay, boom, and that was created. All right, so let's do the validation here. All right, that was pretty straightforward. To continue, make sure your app is running and sending traces. Might take a couple of minutes for the first trace to arrive, so we'll go ahead and we'll wait for that. I also literally just deployed the app, so maybe there's not a whole lot going on as is anyways just yet. And one other thing that I just wanted to showcase here is you can actually manually trace within your source code, which is good. Regardless of if you're using, it looks like Python, Node.js, Java, Ruby, Go, .NET, you can add these capabilities into your code. So for example, I'm more of a Go dev, so what I can see here is there are a couple of these libraries here that it's going to want you to input. Looks like it's using a lot of OpenTelemetry. Next, we're going to have a function here. You're going to specify your app name. You're going to initiate the Lumigo tracer. Specify the OpenTelemetry endpoint here, it looks like. Create that client, right, and then send the data back. Then you can add the context to the main function here, which you can see as well. Looks like it'll be running as a background service via the context function. So yeah, a lot of different cool ways to get your applications traced. But what I would say is, from a Kubernetes perspective, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be using the auto tracer here.